The 44th Annual New York State Association of Black Puerto Rican Legislators Scholarship Gala Chairperson's Award for Civil Rights and Social Justice goes to Governor Andrew Cuomo in recognition for his lifelong commitment to advancing equality and justice for all. On February the 15th, 2015, Governor Cuomo.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. First, to Assemblywoman Crystal Peoples-Stokes, who has just done a fantastic job with the caucus and this weekend. Let's give her a big round of applause. We have Senator Chuck Schumer with us. Let's give him a big round of applause. Congressman Tom DiNapoli, our new Lieutenant Governor, Kathy Hochul, my new Secretary, Bill Mulrow, is here, and Danny Glover's on his way, so it's going to be a great night. Let me say this in terms of this award and closing prisons. Closing prisons is really the evidence of a much different way of doing business. I remember I was a relatively young fella, and I heard Congressman Lewis, John Lewis from Georgia, who's just a personal hero of mine, I'm sure everybody in this room, talking about the absurdity of how much money we spend to keep a person in prison. And I remember, this was years ago, he said it costs $5,000 a year to keep a person in prison. Why aren't we smart enough to use that money more constructively up front rather than paying for a prison cell? Maybe 25 years later, we're still doing the same thing. And that is a basic premise and a basic system that has to be changed. You ask anyone who's a parent, and they will tell you the way you raise that child early on is the person that child turns out to be. And if you lay a strong foundation, and you give support, and you give education, and you give love, then the child will be much stronger. As a society, we haven't learned that. We now spend $30,000 a year to keep a person in a state prison cell, $30,000. You could pay for most Ivy League schools with $30,000 per year. It is a shift, it is a basic shift in how we think and how we do business. And you look at our agenda for this year, and it is all about that shift. It's about taking those resources and investing them early in a person's life and preventing the problem rather than paying for the problem once it manifests itself. That's why universal pre-K for all 4-year-olds all across the state, and we're starting pre-K for 3-year-olds, and we'll be the first state to do it. We have failing public schools in this state that we know have been failing for 10 years, and we continue to send students to a failing public school. Well, a school in a poor community has a different set of issues than a school in a richer school district. Recognize those issues, recognize the school is more than a school, get the social services, get the mentoring, pay for the tutoring, pay for the health assistance in that school so you don't wind up paying for the problem later on. We call them community schools. You know the minimum wage isn't doing enough. Then raise the minimum wage so a person who gets a job can afford to pay for themselves. You know we have a record problem with young minority males trying to get a job. Then pay to subsidize work, because I'd rather pay to subsidize a job and job training than let them be on the street corner and find mischief. And you know what it is when we take 16 and 17-year-olds and we put them in the state prison system. There is nothing that is rehabilitative about that. You just make a bad situation worse. Raise the age, treat a young person like a young person, and let's get them the help that they need. Now, this is a total restructuring of the way we think. It is a change 180 degrees. And that whole system is in place. The Assemblywoman talked about closing a prison. You go to close a prison, It's hard. Why? Because that prison has jobs, and that prison has a union, and they want to protect those jobs, and that prison is in the community, and in that community, they want those jobs. Whenever you go to make a change, it is hard. But what I'm saying to my friends, to you tonight, what I'm saying to this legislature is, keeping the status quo is worse. I know change seems risky, but when you know a school is failing, to continue to send students there is worse. When you know we're losing more and more of our young people to drugs every day, continuing the status quo is worse. This year is going to be the year that we really changed fundamentally the direction of the way we care about people. And as Crystal said, I want the history books to show that working with the Assembly and the Senate, after 4 years, we closed more prison cells than any time in the history of this state. A prouder accomplishment I can't have. Thank you very much. God bless you. Enjoy the night.
Thank you.
Thank you.